I've had this unsettled, dissatisfied, itchy feeling for a little bit too long now. The feeling is envy. Let's cut to the chase. The feeling is envy. Also, how did this get knocked so askew? I guess it's about as askew as my emotional state. That's not an intentional metaphor. Funnily enough, it's not that I'm necessarily feeling particularly envious at the moment, like of anybody or anything. It's that I'm processing the envy that I've been feeling my entire life and didn't realize what it was. Like I thought it was a chip on my shoulder or like a vibe that I had for people or things or situations that I didn't like that much. I didn't know what was going on. And I think ultimately it was envy. Maybe it would come as a shock that I would say that, like, because envy is not a good look, right? It's a bad word. It's a 4-letter word, as it were, especially emotionally and socially. But in reality, that's why I was struggling with it so much. And understanding that that's what I was feeling was because I don't think I really wanted to admit that was at the root of it. But I think it actually manifested itself as much as anything in questions. Like, why is this person doing so much better than me at social media? Or why is this person doing so much better than me in their career as an author, or in romance, in love, in family, in friendship, in weight training and abs? Why not me? Sounds pretty petty when you put it down to the simplest of words, right? Why not me? Why don't I have it better? Why don't I have what I want? Why does somebody else get to have what I want? But that's like at the core of the itch that I've been experiencing. Maybe not for the reasons you're expecting, maybe for the reasons you're expecting. I don't know if you've ever heard the idea that we spend our time comparing ourselves to those that are above us on the ladder instead of those that are below us on the ladder, and that's why we're malcontent. But what I've come to realize is we're not actually walking or crawling, climbing up the same ladder. For me, when I'm struggling, it's because I'm looking at somebody who has family, who has a mom that's affectionate, that loves them, that took care of them. On the train this morning, there was a family, and the way the mom looked at the adult son, like he danced on moon rays, you know, and anything he said, and she was just so fascinated by him as a human being. I wish I had that, and I find myself sometimes struggling because I never did. Not what I wanted to happen there. And that's what I mean when I say being on different ladders, because that's not something that I have ever had or can ever have. At the end of the day, that ship has sailed. Like, there's nothing I can do to change it, and along with it has gone whatever benefits may have gone along with it. So it's not really doing me a whole lot of good to stand there or sit there on a train in this instance and envy something that I simply cannot have. And if this feels like a topic that would be perfectly sponsored by BetterHelp, well, you and I were thinking the same thing, and thankfully today's video is sponsored by BetterHelp. If you know anything about me at this point, you know how helpful therapy has been in working through all of this, growing, getting to a place where I can genuinely feel like I'm getting past some really big stuff, which is why I'm such a big proponent of it and why I'm so grateful that BetterHelp would sponsor a video like this. Because if you're struggling to find a provider, BetterHelp has thousands of providers that are available via talk, text, or video, and they make it really easy to switch between them. I have some friends right now that are really struggling to find a therapist that matches with them. BetterHelp makes it super easy to swap between them with no penalties and to find somebody that really matches with you, because that can take some time. They also support my channel, and if you want to use my link, you get a discount on the first month, and it helps my channel. So thank you to BetterHelp for making it possible for people that I know to find a great therapist and hopefully processing complex emotions that you think are really simple, but actually, man, can really grind you down. Part of the reason that I wanted to come to Newcastle, of all places, is because it's actually tied to that hospital ship that I used to live on in West Africa. This is where it was retrofitted from a Danish rail ferry into a hospital ship, which I know is a mouthful right there. But on that ship was the first time that I'd ever heard the phrase, comparison is the thief of joy, which is exactly what we're talking about here. Looking at other people's lives, not understanding what's behind them, like family, money, opportunities you never had, things that you just can't see, talents, capacities, etc., and comparing yourself to them when in reality they're climbing on a ladder you could never actually have gotten onto in the first place. It's not very helpful to spend our time looking down the ladder to make ourselves feel better either, because when we're looking down at other people, we're very aware that we probably had a better start in life. We were born in a location that offered us a lot of opportunities maybe they didn't have. And we can sense how kind of ugh that feels to like look down the ladder at people who are doing worse than us. But then looking up the ladder at people who are doing better, that also makes us feel horrible. Which circles back to the point, we're not on the same ladder. In a weird way, I actually found this most helpful when I realized that the people that I follow, that I have modeled my life after, that I've admired, that built businesses, didn't actually have to live on the business they were building. Like, I never understood why it was so hard for me to make a business work and survive off of it. And, you know, ultimately, I made a video about going bankrupt last week, I guess, which is kind of as a result of this misunderstanding of reality. And the reality is that so many people don't have to live off of what they're trying to accomplish. Like, they have family, they have wealth behind them, they have something that's cushioning them. But if you compare yourself to the people that are struggling or succeeding at a business in a way that you can't, it's not a very healthy comparison at all. Like in Paris specifically, there are so many restaurants, bars, cafes, all these things that often even sit empty. And I leave myself wondering, how on earth do they afford this? How can they make this work? And I mean, that's not always the answer. Sometimes they're just like a front for the Chinese mafia or something, but often that is exactly it. They just happen to have resources behind them that I've never had, that I will never have. This is the other reason that I'm in Newcastle. There are 3 reasons. Now you know 2 of them. We're gonna talk about the whole ship thing here in a second. Newcastle actually has a connection for me with the hospital ship that I used to volunteer on in West Africa. And I know that's a mouthful again, but I spent 3 or 4 years volunteering with a medical organization in West and Central Africa. And the ship that I lived on was retrofitted in this city. So I have kind of a connection, despite having never been here before. I really like it. I think Newcastle, I've heard good things. But in diving back into like my past with the bankruptcy, reading my book, which I should absolutely be promoting more often than I do, Sea of the Unknown, go get it right now. It's actually really good and will get you caught up on a lot of stuff that I'm glossing over here. But in reflecting on my past, things like mercy ships, it also comes up with like the reality of the sacrifice that I made, because volunteers and volunteering for 4 years, not only do you not make any money, you're not really building up a CV, you know, a resume to get jobs, building up a lot of skills, a lot of great experience, but it was a real sacrifice and something that I was willing to make at the time in theory, but like when you look back on it, you're like, holy cow, that was way more significant than I ever actually realized. Thank you so much again. Okay. Appreciate it. So it turns out that there were 2 Space Invaders inside the Modern Art Museum here, which made it, sorry guys, which made it really tricky, but because one of them is actually behind the scenes. I needed someone to badge me through to go find that one, and they were so nice. They were just like, yeah, let me radio somebody, and then walked me through, showed me where it was, and walked me back out. Phenomenal. Looks like a really cool museum too. I wish I had more time. Okay, well, I've got to go grab one more of these just over here, and then my 3rd reason for being here finally showed up, and I gotta go meet that 3rd reason. I'm running late. I got myself garlic. Hey, I know you.
Where's the camera? Where's the f***ing camera? There it is.
There it is.
I know when I see little f***ing blinking lights, I've got to see where the camera is, and you're talking to yourself. So
what if there's a chance that this is a decoy and the real camera was the friends we made along the way?
Oh, go somewhere else.
I got garlic bread. You want some garlic bread? I'm just gonna break into this because I've had a brownie today, and I was gonna stop and have real lunch, but then I couldn't stop myself.
Oh mate, that is for real.
It's like a pesto garlic bread.
Is it good though?
No. Actually, really, this is the best thing I've eaten all day. I won't repeat that. Yeah, would you like one?
You get a free one because you're Paul.
Nice.
Wait, how do you know he's Paul? I could be Paul. You didn't notice. Oh wait, it's
Oh,
on
it's
this side.
on the other side.
Sneaky.
Where is it?
Can you find it this time? Okay, so while Paul looks for the camera, what I was gonna say was that ultimately what I wanted to add in brackets is that comparison is the thief of joy. In brackets, comparison to others is the thief of joy. Because what I've found is that in looking back on those harder times in my life, whether that's the bankruptcy or mercy ships and the sacrifices I've made there, is just how far I've come along the way. Like how much better my life is than it used to be. How much I've grown as a person, how much my friendships have improved, how much my life is just, I just love the life that I have, especially when compared to the life that I used to have. So when I compare myself to me, I'm doing all right. And if I keep comparing myself to myself, ultimately, I'm the only competition that I should ever really have. Thanks to today's patron producer, Todd, Gillette, and all my patrons for making this possible. Even in videos like this, where I have a sponsor that makes travel and everything else immediately possible, over the long term, the thing that makes all the difference are the people you're seeing scrolling by right now. I really, really deeply appreciate all of your support so much. And I thought it'd be kind of a cool thing to come down to Prism Coffee here in, is it Saltwell Park? A lovely spot that's open specifically to support a local community and to offer something to it. Daniel, the owner, is a friend of Paul's I met last night, really nice guy. And it's a really cool little spot in the park. So if you ever come to Newcastle, check out Prism Coffee, a little local coffee shop. And I'm gonna do the best I can to only compare myself to past me and continue to project that out into the future to see where I might end up.